Can I recreate a childhood favorite, Vispipuuro, with a twist? Let's find out. Hi, welcome back. I've pulled out my mom's original cookbook from when she got married. This is a well-loved and worn book. I made so many desserts out of here when I was a little girl. I'd look for the ingredients we had, and then I'd make some kind of a cake. But this is one of these traditional cookbooks that has everything from beginning to end inside here. Instructions on all cooking techniques. And I wanted to find the Vispipuuro recipe in here. And I came across this old coupon. And it's funny, I was looking for the date when it expires, but there was none on there. So anyways, I'll just save it. I don't know how old it is. It's got to be at least 30 years old, I'm guessing. I've been searching all over the internet for a Vispipuuro recipe. And then I thought, well, I got to pull this book out and see what it says in here. And sure enough, here is a recipe. And it is the most simple recipe. There's 3 ingredients, 4 if you include water. I thought I would try this recipe because one of the other issues that I had is because traditionally this is made with lingonberries, and I don't have any lingonberries, fresh or frozen, available to me. But I found this Arctic Power berries online, and I'll put a link to their website, and it's just basically freeze-dried berries of all kinds, and so I ordered some lingonberries. The other ingredient, which is the main ingredient, is semolina, and I had a little bit of trouble finding that also, but I eventually did. I also haven't had a hand mixer in years. My old one finally died, so I bought myself another one. This one is not very expensive at all, but it's a Cuisinart, and I think it'll do the trick. I have not had this in years. I was a little girl when I last ate it. My grandmother made it, my mom made it occasionally, but I have to say I think my grandmother's was best. She must have put a little bit more sugar in it. So it's basically just a berry and semolina dessert. And you can use other berries. My mom used to use cranberries when she couldn't get lingonberries here in Canada. And I've even read you can use raspberries or whatever berry you'd like. Now, the internet recipes that I found were a little bit different. They called for the whole berries to be simmered in the water and then mashed and strained. And that is not at all like the recipe in my mom's book. That's why I'm actually looking online, because the recipe that's in my mom's old cookbook doesn't even mention sugar. So I will write out the translation for the recipe in the description, but basically it's sugar, semolina, and then your berries, and I'm using the Arctic berries. And in the recipe book, it actually says berry juice, which can be sweetened, and that's what I'm going to do here. I'm rereading and reading the recipe over and over again. It's so short. It's 1 paragraph, basically. And it calls for 5 deciliters of water to be brought to a boil. So I'm using my little stainless steel deciliter container, and that is basically 100 mils. And I think 125 mils is a half a cup. So this is just under a half a cup. And then, because my mom's recipe book says to use berry juice, I thought, well, I'll heat some water up, mix a little bit of sugar in with the water, and then put the freeze-dried berry mix in there, and that'll be my juice. And in this recipe, it calls for, I think, 250 mils or 2.5 deciliters of the berry juice. So I think this will work out great. This is my first time ever making it in any shape or form, so I'm kind of looking at the online recipes and in this book, because this cookbook doesn't give you any amount for the sugar. It just says sweetened berry juice. And in the online recipes, I saw around 150 mils, so just under half a cup of, or just over half a cup of sugar to be added in with the berries. I thought that was a bit too much, so I'm going to only add about 80 mils of the sugar and then the berries, and we'll see how that is. So here I'm making the juice with the water and the sugar. So I'm using, like I said, about 80 mils of the sugar, and then I'll use the Arctic berries, and what they're referencing there is, I think it's at 1 or 2 teaspoons is like a handful of berries. So that didn't really help me. So what I do is I'm going to start off with 2 teaspoons, and then I'll see how it goes. Because when I remember this being made, it is very vibrant, berry colored when you start off, and it requires a lot of stirring. And the semolina, as soon as you put it into the boiling water, it's only a matter of seconds and it starts to thicken up. So I was really worried that it was almost too thick. And at one point you'll see me adding more water to it. So I did add actually more water than the recipe called for because it was getting so thick. I think these Arctic berries that are freeze-dried are a great option that you can order online, because you're going to get I think you'll get a lot of the nutrients from the berries, but you have access to them all over the world basically. Because lingonberries are a little bit hard to find here. The only time I found them was in a jam form. I also remember my mom buying cream of wheat, and I didn't know that cream of wheat is actually a brand, and it's made with now farina or semolina. Those are similar. I was looking at what the difference between farina and semolina is, and it's not really clear to me. One said that farina is what it's called, the wheat is called in the United States, and semolina is a flour that we call it here in Canada. But I used to think that this Vispipuuro, which means just whipped porridge, is made with cream of wheat. But like Kleenex is the brand, and cream of wheat is a brand name for this wheat porridge. I always wear an apron in the kitchen. And my daughter is an artist, so she did some artwork for me. And I have a little store on my website that I've put actually all my things on for 25% off sale right now because it's coming up to Black Friday. I had to taste this because also the difference in my mom's cookbook is that it said to stir and boil the semolina for 4 minutes. But online recipes I've read up to 10 to 14 minutes of simmering the semolina. So I was wondering, how cooked does it need to get, and how will the texture change as it cooks longer? So I'm just whisking away and tasting it to see how smooth it is, or if it's a bit grainy. It reminds me of couscous, but even finer. I find it amazing that such simple recipes with so few ingredients can be so delicious and bring back so many childhood memories. Because this is one of these things that I loved. It was like such a yummy dessert. And I'm sure that my mom didn't make it super sweet. And we would then, when it cooled, we would have it just with a bit of milk. And I know some people I've read add sugar on top, but you'll see at the end how it looks and what I do, which is a little bit different. I've never seen it like that, and I've never eaten it like that before, but I can tell you that it was extremely delicious. If you like this content, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any new videos. If you watch this now, you'll see it go from a more vibrant pink to a paler pink. I poured it into the bowl and started beating it basically right away. Some of the recipes that I read online said to let it cool. I didn't do that. So now I'm tasting it to see if beating it changes the texture, and I realized it does. It's lighter and fluffier. But I also don't know how long I should beat it. So I'll just keep beating it for a while till I think it looks just right. This recipe is simple. It's just a few ingredients, some berries or berry juice that's sweetened, water, and semolina, and then basically whisking and beating, and that's it. Now it's starting to look really good here. Do you have memories of a childhood dish that you really wish that you could have again, or something that you make on repeat that's from your childhood? I'd love to know. So semolina is the name given to coarsely milled durum wheat, mainly used in pastas and sweet puddings. So that's what this is. So I'm going to try this Vispipuuro 2 ways. I'm going to add some plain coconut yogurt to one. And I'll just tell you, this wasn't my favorite. It probably would have been really delicious with vanilla yogurt. The second one though, look at that. It's so light and fluffy and gorgeous looking. If you've ever had anything like this, let us know in the comments. This is the secret ingredient. It's coconut whip. Coconut whip is slightly sweetened, so I'm guessing this is going to be delicious. And it was the winner. Because I didn't make my Vispipuuro that sweet, this coconut whip on top, oh, it's like icing on the cake. It's really good. And semolina is actually really good for magnesium, folate, and protein. So it's a nutritious little dessert with simple ingredients. Have a great week, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!